When Star Wars Republic Commando first arrived on the Nintendo Switch, it felt like a long overdue homecoming. This was one of the most beloved Star Wars games of the early 2000s. Dark, tactical, squad based, and completely different from the Jedi power fantasies fans were used to. The excitement was real, but once people actually sat down to play it on the original Switch hardware, that excitement was tempered by reality. The game was playable, but it didn't feel right. Frame rate drops crept in during firefights, aiming felt sluggish, and the overall performance reminded you constantly that this was a port pushing against the limits of the hardware. It wasn't broken, but it was compromised. Now, fast forward to the Nintendo Switch 2, and suddenly Star Wars Republic Commando feels like a completely different experience, not because the game itself changed, but because the hardware finally caught up to the design. Combat feels smoother and more responsive, especially in high pressure moments where enemy AI, squad commands, and environmental effects all collide at once. Frame pacing issues that once distracted from immersion are noticeably reduced, making the flow of combat feel natural instead of choppy. Aiming is more precise, movement feels tighter, and for the first time on Nintendo platform, Republic Commando actually plays the way longtime fans remember it playing on more powerful systems. What's striking is how much this improves the feel of the game without altering its identity. Republic Commando was always about tension, atmosphere, and teamwork. You're not a superhero, you're a soldier relying on your squad to survive overwhelming odds. On the original Switch, performance issues subtly chipped away at that fantasy. On Switch 2, those distractions fade into the background, allowing the game's design to shine. The tactical commands, the enemy encounters, and the Clone Wars setting all land with more impact because the hardware is no longer holding the experience back. This improvement isn't magic and it's not about secret patches or remasters. It's simply a matter of stronger hardware along what it does best. With a more capable CPU handling AI and physics, a GPU that can maintain more consistent performance and faster memory access, reducing stutter, games that were once borderline are now stable. Republic Commando benefits enormously from this, especially during larger engagements when multiple enemies, squad actions, and environmental effects are happening simultaneously. The result is a game that finally feels confident instead of constrained. And Republic Commando is far from the only title benefiting from the shift. One of the most obvious examples is Hyrule Warriors Age of Calamity, a game infamous for its inconsistent performance on the original Switch. Massive battles, dozens of enemies, and flashy effects often push the system so far, leading to frequent slowdown. On Switch 2, those same battles feel dramatically smoother, making combat more enjoyable and less frustrating. You're no longer fighting the frame rate as much as you're fighting the enemies, which makes a huge difference in a game built around spectacle and momentum. Then there's Pokemon Scarlet and Violet games that sparked enormous controversy at launch due to technical issues. While no amount of hardware can rewrite their design decisions, Switch 2's increased power does help the experience feel more stable overall. Traversal through the open world feels smoother, performance clips are less intrusive, and the game world feels close to what players expected when these titles were first announced. It doesn't magically fix everything, but it undeniably improves the moment to moment experience in meaningful ways. The Witcher 3 is another fascinating case. Even on the original Switch, it was an impressive technical achievement, but it always walked a tightrope. On Switch 2, that tightrope feels much wider. Performance consistency improves, visuals appear sharper, and the overall experience becomes easier to recommend as a portable version of a massive RPG. It highlights just how much potential was already there, waiting for stronger hardware to unlock it. Perhaps the most dramatic turnaround comes from games like Batman Arkham Knight, which struggled significantly on the original Switch. Performance issues were impossible to ignore, making it difficult to recommend. On Switch 2 hardware, stability improves enough that the game finally feels playable in a way that doesn't constantly break immersion. It may never be the definitive version, but it transforms from a curiosity into a legitimate way to experience the game on the go. All of this highlights why backward compatibility matters so much. Nintendo didn't just release a new console, they effectively upgraded entire libraries overnight. Players aren't being asked to rebuy games or invest in special editions just to get better performance. Instead, titles that were once limited by hardware now get a second life simply by running on more capable technology. For longtime Switch owners, this instantly adds value to games they already own, and it changes how we think about preservation and longevity in Nintendo's ecosystem. For Star Wars Republic Commando specifically, this feels like justice. It's not a remake, it's not a remaster. It's the same game finally allowed to breathe. For veterans, it's a chance to revisit a classic without compromise. For newcomers, it's the best way yet to experience one of the most underrated Star Wars games ever made. If you're enjoying this breakdown, make sure to give this video a thumbs up. It really helps the channel out. Don't forget to subscribe and ring the notification bell so you don't miss any future videos, especially if you enjoy deep dives into classic games, performance updates, and modern reevaluations like this one. And if you want to support the channel even further, I do have a Patreon. Patrons get access to exclusive content and the ability to vote on upcoming topics, including future deep dives and Sunday Spotlight videos. If that sounds like something you'd enjoy, the link is in the description below, and your support genuinely helps keep the channel going. Let me know in the comments which Nintendo Switch game you think benefits the most from Switch 2 hardware, or which one you'd like me to cover next. Thanks for watching, and as always, game on.